Deep in the heart of a magical forest lived a little squirrel named Flicker. Now, Flicker wasn't like the other squirrels. While his brothers and sisters loved to chatter and play, Flicker preferred to spend his time alone, collecting shiny things. In the middle of the clearing stood a huge oak tree with leaves of solid gold. Its branches were laden with golden acorns, each one more lustrous than the last. Now, being a squirrel, Flicker couldn't resist. He blurted out, he emptied it at the Oak King's feet and began to explain the significance of each treasure. There were polished pebbles he'd found by the river. That tickles, giggled Flicker, and the lions roared with laughter so loud that the palace shook and the Oak King came running. He didn't have any acorns, but he did have something far more valuable. Now, if you enjoyed this enchanting tale of bravery and resourcefulness, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your little adventurers. Subscribe for more magical journeys and turn your bedtime into story time with us. The respect and admiration of the Oak King and the two wooden lions. As for the treasures he'd collected in the palace, well, he shared them with his brothers and sisters, who finally understood why Flicker had always preferred shiny things. He watched as Flicker collected their breath, turning it into a string of pearls, and realized that the little squirrel had outdone himself. "Well done, Flicker," he boomed, surprised by how impressed he felt. "You may go free with all your treasures, bits of colorful glass from the humans' greenhouses and bottle caps that glinted like coins." But the Oak King just sighed after each item and waved his hand dismissively. "Foolish squirrel, these trinkets are worthless. Surely you can do better than this." "Oh, great Oak King, I've collected so many treasures in my life." He scurried over to them and asked if he could polish their teeth. "You squirrels are good at collecting things," the lion rumbled, "but not much else. Why don't you try collecting our breath?" Flicker had no idea what they meant, but as he was about to be turned into stone anyway, he thought he might as well try anything. Closing his eyes, he sat between the lions, inhaled deeply, and started polishing the insides of their mouths with his fur. "More than anyone else in the forest, I'm sure. And I would give them all to you if you let me go." The Oak King stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Well, that does sound like a fair exchange. Bring me your treasures, little squirrel, and I shall decide if they are worthy." He scampered up the oak tree and stuffed himself with acorns until his cheeks were bulging. Then, with his pouch already full from his previous finds, he started to stuff the acorns into it, too. He had a little pouch where he kept all his treasures, things like colorful pebbles, bits of broken glass, and discarded bottle caps. It was made entirely out of wood and tree roots and guarded by two enormous wooden lions with teeth as sharp as spears. At the top of the palace sat the Oak King himself, an imposing figure with a crown of twisted branches on his head and leaves for a beard. "So you're the cheeky squirrel who's been stealing my acorns," he boomed, his voice echoing through the palace. "How dare you disrespect me? I could turn you into a statue of stone and keep you here forever." One day, while rummaging through the undergrowth, Flicker came across a clearing he'd never seen before. As he reached for another acorn, he heard a voice. "Who's been stealing my acorns?" Startled, Flicker dropped his prize and turned to see a grumpy old owl perched on a nearby branch. I'm sorry," stammered Flicker. "I didn't know these were your acorns. I'll bring them back now." But the owl hooted angrily and said, No, little squirrel. You have trespassed on the Oak King's domain and stolen his sacred acorns. You must face the consequences." With that, the owl swooped down, grabbed Flicker by the scruff of his neck, and flew away. Now, deep in the forest was the Oak King's palace. Flicker trembled, but then an idea popped into his head. And so, trembling but relieved, Flicker scurried home and returned with his pouch. Despondent, Flicker looked around the palace and noticed the two wooden lions. Now, when the lions breathed in, their sharp teeth scraped against his belly, leaving silvery lines that glittered in the dim light. And so, with a grateful nod, Flicker set off home. And that's the end of the story, friends.